this is your last announcement for the semester. You've had a great year, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. But now it's time to go out into the real world. And I just want to wish you all good luck. Oh.
So, very good evening, guys. I am Rajat Rathore. I am the host for the today's evening career talk on architecture. It's good to see you guys right on the time coming into the session. It's really great, and I would like to thank you first of all, everyone who has taken this opportunity to come out of their comfort zones and be in this session and learn more about their careers. We are just waiting for a few more of our candidates who had applied for this session to come on and join the session, and we can soon resume the course. So in the meantime, anyone is having any questions or they would like to look forward to what is inside this session, they can post their queries or their doubts right in the chat box. First of all, before we go ahead, can I have a sound check from everyone? Can I have in the comment box, am I audible? Am I clear? Yes, Nehal, that's great. Everyone else? Ramsha, yes, great. Arushi, great. Everyone else? Preksha, Abhiram, that's great, that's great. Ashita, Preksha, Harleen, that's great, that's great. I'm really loving it. That's great, amazing. So I would like to request this thing that I don't want to sound as a lecture co-host over here. I want to have some amazing conversations with all the budding architects over here in the session. So if it will be comfortable for you all, can we open our cameras so that we can see each other in this distress times of COVID and be together over here so that we can have a virtual communication at least. Arushi, Harleen, Abhiram, Amishi, Khushi, Pari, Bhavya, Raman, Ramsha. That's great. Guys, can we switch on our cameras? We are about to start our session. Arushi, Harleen. Perfect. Seems like not everyone is comfortable in opening up their cameras. That's perfectly fine. The same ritual has been going on in the school as well as in the session. I totally understand it. So let's start the session for today. Introducing myself, I'm Rajat Satinder Rathore. I'm a mechanical and automation engineer. I did my engineering in mechanical and automation engineering because I'm a fourth generation mechanical engineer. My father, my grandfather, and his father also were mechanical engineers. I was blessed to have my internship projects and my research dissertation projects to be continued at University College of London in London, and as well as I did my major dissertation topic at Adelphi University in New York. So today I will be looking forward to provide you all with all the experiences which I have gathered throughout the life experiences which I had, and also share the insights which are going to be important for you while you go ahead and choose your career and start progressing in your career. So, what are the first steps we have to look forward that how we are gonna punctualize ourselves to one career choice which makes us happy and which we are looking forward to pursue, and what we have in the room for them. So just to help you out, I have written 12 research papers, white papers, which are published in national and international journals all over globe. So you can find a glimpse of my profile over here in the chat box. Everyone who would like to go ahead and see what all things I have been working on, you can go ahead and check it in the chat box. So now let's start our session and let's start talk about what we have to offer and what you are looking out for over here. So let me just quickly share the screen with you all, guys. So is everyone able to see my screen? Can you just comment it over in the chat box?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So let's come down to session guidelines. You are free to mute yourself and keep your video off. We will be having a professional engagement, so I would request everyone to focus on what is going to be discussed over here so that you can extract the maximum out of it, keep it with yourself before you start your life ahead. If you have any questions during the session when we are having a conversation, you can go out to the chat box, raise your hand, you can ask your doubt rather than unmuting yourself between the conversation, because that is where we divert our focus and might be possible this conversation go in some other direction. So we will request that if you can just raise your hand and ask your questions. So you can use the chat box for the same. So today we bring an amazing opportunity for you all to do an internship from top professional under industry, Ms. Nandita Natesh. She is an architect and as well as an interior designer. So before we go ahead and start discussing about it, I have this one small and beautiful question to every one of you, and I would like to have inputs from everyone in the session. What we think of architect and interior design? First of all, what do we understand the nuances of it? And what we think are the skills or what are the skill set which is very much particularly required in this career according to you till date of your understanding? So can we have the answers in the chat box? Creativity, great. Tanisha, that's a brilliant answer. I'm looking forward to more answers from everyone. Samriddhi, Joshua, Abhiram, Harlington. Please, let's not just keep it as a lecture over here. Let's have the understanding and let's have a free communication over here. Please don't understand this as a lecture room. We are going to have a conversation where we can understand and start discussing about it. Unless you're not opening up, I won't be able to answer your questions and give an exact feedback or the knowledge which you are looking out for over here. Okay, precision, planning and implementation, that's great. Ability to make various designs which are unique, amazing answer. Planning, okay, precision, basic geometry, creativity. Okay, so with this amazing thing, basic geometry, what do we understand by the meaning of geometry? Can anyone answer me this thing? I guess we are all the students of class 9, 10th and 11th, 12th. There's a beautiful answer which was written over here, that basic geometry. So can anyone help me? What's the meaning of geometry? Anyone? Halim, Aviram, Khushi, Ramsha, anyone who can answer me what's the meaning of geometry? What we understand when we understand the meaning of geometry? Anyone? Basic shapes, okay. Shapes and theorems regarding them, okay. That's great. Anyone else? Before I answer it, anyone else wants to go ahead and try it? Perfect. So I will break it down for you. Geometry is a two-term word. It's a Latin word. Geo, you might be aware about listening the geo term at various places, be it geometry, geography, or geopolitical science. And the basic understanding of geo is earth. And metry is the Latin word which means metrics, measurement. So everything which you see in and around you, everything which you are seeing in front of you, even your laptop screens, be it your tube light, be it the plants, or be it anything, the shape and design and understanding the physiological aspects of the designing associated with it is known as geometry. That was the basic preeminence about what geometry is all about. So that was a wonderful insights which was shared by you all. Now let's move ahead to talk about who we have on board today, our industry professional, Ms. Nandita Natesh. So can we have Nandita over here? Hi, Nandita.
Hi, it's lovely being here.
Yeah, so can we have over here, can you turn on your camera? We can see you and we can connect you.
Yeah, I have switched it on. I hope you're able to see me and hear me.
Okay, I'm able to hear you. That's great. Hi. So first
Hi,
of all,
sir.
how are you? How are you doing? How is
I am
the
doing great. What about you? I hope everyone on the call is keeping safe and doing well and, just taking care of themselves.
yeah, it's a very tough time you can see over here, but it's a good news that we are coming up with the second wave, and
Hmm.
that very long time we had a very rough time on a global level, but thankfully now we are stabilizing, and I hope everyone at their home are staying safe, their families are safe, and everything is going fine at their place. So, Nandita, can we know a bit more about how you started off thinking about architecture and interior design? At what class you started at actually, where
Hmm.
you got to know about architecture and interior design?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share. Firstly, thanks for having such a nice start to this whole conversation where, you're getting everybody to contribute to the conversation. So I think that itself is really cool because everyone's going to get really interested and, we're going to share a lot of amazing opinions and thoughts today. So I'm excited to be here. And in terms of, talking about myself, how this came about for me. So I think back in high school, I started thinking about, that's like the time when you obviously start to wonder what it is that you're good at, what you're interested in, and which of these interests can you turn into a career for the long haul, right? So I remember at the time, I had so many things in mind. I thought I would be a lawyer, I thought I would be a dentist. I just had, way too many things because, there's so much happening around you. And in fact, now I feel like the exposure is 10x to what I had when I was younger. So I think the options are in front of everyone here who's attending this session today also. So there must be some confusion, but also you're here for a reason because you've kind of picked a direction. So similarly for me, back in ninth grade, I attended a career counseling session, in fact, where we had professionals from various industries. And there was, a very interesting woman who's an architect interior designer. She had a very well established practice. So when I looked at all of her work, I was fascinated, I was intrigued, I was inspired. And that made me realize how throughout school, although I was very good at my academics, I loved science, I loved mathematics, I was really good with writing an exam and doing well at it. But even then, I was always very creatively inclined also. So I felt that I would do my studies, and then in my free time, I would take up some kind of creative hobby or arts and crafts or anything that's, in a creative domain. And I think that's what led me to realize that I want a career that's a balance between the two, that's both creative and technical, where I can really leverage, this mix of skills that I have, this mixed bag of interests and skills that I have. And I think that's what led me to it. But yeah, the first thought or the spark was honestly from that career counseling session that I had. So that's where it all began. And that's how I was able to streamline my thoughts into realizing I wanted a career in design and architecture.
Okay. Even that's a great insight. Even I remember back in my time, but sadly, I never had any education counselor in my life, and I just followed what my forefathers and my parents had been doing. So my father is a mechanical engineer. My grandfather is a mechanical engineer. His grandfather is also a
Mm-hmm.
mechanical engineer. So we are a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
generation of mechanical engineers. But moreover, I was fascinated by the way education is provided in architectural course. I guess it's a 5 year long course and in
Yeah.
which you get to travel to a variety of places where you get to learn about cultures, about their philosophies, about how the things go on, how the place was built, what's the basic nuance and the eminence of that thing. So that was much more fascinating because you get a practical exposure throughout the 5 years of time. Rather than in mechanical and automation engineering, it is far more about deriving the concepts and being inside the lab and doing the same experiment again and again. So
Mm-hmm.
that was really great. So you can just share us about what was your journey in your class 11th, 12th, and then getting into your graduation and doing your post graduation and your PG diploma, about how you went on and attained this skilled craft, and what was that passion behind this? What was the inspiration behind it that you were so much focused about learning architecture and interior design?
Yeah, sure. It's nice that you share that insight that you kind of took up mechanical engineering as, like a default because you know that everyone in your family did it. For me, it was quite the opposite because nobody in my family is in architecture. Like even until today, I would say the younger cousins, there's nobody in my first circle of relatives and family members who are into architecture. So at that time, it was like a little bit of a confusing time, I would say, because my parents were questioning if this is the right field for me. They were obviously kind of pushing me towards engineering or medicine, which kind of are, those like stellar careers, which I think a lot of parents would say, take the safe option, pick this. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there are people doing amazingly, being in successful careers there too. But like I said, I was quite keen on doing something creative, which is why I stepped into this domain. And at that time, I think the best part was that I was able to approach a few people from extended family or through friends and working professionals, working architects with whom I spoke. And that kind of led me to believe that this is the right choice. So even though firsthand I didn't have any information, I think I reached out to people, we spoke to a lot of people and just, tried to make use of the networks that we had, for me to better understand what this career is all about. So in 11th and 12th, I did take up science with math, chemistry, physics, biology, and languages. So I kept biology because I remember I said I wanted to be a dentist. So somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe I should keep that as an option. So I just had bio as well. But I think right from the beginning, because I had it at the back of my mind that this is what I want to do, I pushed myself in that direction. So by the time I was in 12th grade, I was already thinking about writing NATA, which is, the exam that one
National
needs to
Architectural Test, yeah.
Correct. So you need to take that to get into any architectural school. That score matters. Plus, math and English score is what matters. So somewhere I think I'd already aligned myself there. I was focusing on that. And in terms of choice of the college itself, so I'm from Bangalore, born and brought up here. So firstly, I thought that, in a course like this, which is quite intensive in terms of the work that you have to do, and there's so much going on, that I'd probably be better off staying in my home city to do it. But like you said, through the course, there's so much learning and traveling and exploring that happens. And because architecture is the kind of field where, theory will never get you anywhere. You need to see and do. You need to walk the walk. It's not enough to just read. Reading is great, but it's very important to practice, which is why the course is pretty intensive in terms of the assignments that are given. So it's sort of like from day one, you start doing the work that you will actually do as a practicing architect or designer, which is, you're given projects to design. So you will start making plans, you will start making three-dimensional, volumetric views or models, or basically an understanding of the overall design. And apart from that, like you said, there's a lot of traveling that happens through the process, because observation is everything. Observation and inspiration. So when you travel, you look around you, you're going to question, how was this made? Where is this coming from? Who thought about this? And it's so beautiful to see the kind of inspiration we have just in India alone. I'm sure everyone who's traveled here will attest this, to say that there's just so many beautiful styles out there. And when you actually look at it and start to appreciate it, you become a better designer through that process of observation and keen understanding. And honestly, everything comes back. So what styles we had several years ago are actually trendy again today. So I think this traveling and observation will really go a long way in a career as an architect. And right after I graduated from my BArch, which is the undergraduate degree for architecture, I worked at a firm in Bangalore doing residential design, both architecture and interiors. And that's when I realized that I have a very keen interest for interior design. I like the smaller details. I really enjoy getting into it and picking finishes, materials, really feeling textures. That's where my passion lies. And that's what led me to doing a postgraduate degree in interior design. And then once I was back from there, I took up a job in Bangalore at a multinational company where we do very large scale projects. And I think, over time, I've really learned that this is where my skills come into best use. So I think I'm in a good place today with where I'm at in terms of my career progression.
Okay, that's wonderful. But I was traumatized learning this thing that you did physics, chemistry, math, and biology, everything in 12th. That is really a very tough challenge, because I am a PCM student. I clearly remember passing the 12th standard maths in chemistry and organic. How tough was that? So that's really challenging on your path. That's really great that you took all that opportunities out there. But at the same point of time, when I say this thing that you have chosen architecture, or architecture has chosen you, is it something naturally which happened to you, or it was something which was pre-planned right from class 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, or you had something while growing up from class 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that you love to observe architecture or you love to observe monuments and the detailed nuances regarding it, or be it the historical prominence regarding it. So what was that one particular thing? Was it either a reading about the literature art or the architectural style which was in class 6, 7, or was it something exploring it naturally? How it happened to you?
Yeah, I think actually exploring it physically would be the answer, because I feel like when we're in school, we don't understand the importance of like reading history. You study it because you have to, and that was the case with me personally. But when I was a kid, like I have an older sister, so every summer my family, we would all travel to different parts of India. So it was always, somehow my parents were always inclined to taking us to these grand monuments, or old temples, old buildings. So we would always surround our trip, kind of plan or schedule the trip around these things, where we get to do these activities and see these beautiful buildings. So I think that intrigue started at a very young age, but I didn't realize that it was my interest towards this as a career option. But as things went along, I think I deliberately pushed myself towards that. So I wouldn't say it just happened naturally and that it was a like match made in heaven sort of a thing, but I very consciously made the effort to kind of push myself to take this direction in my career.
Okay. So when I see the term creativity, because this is the what I can say, this is the basic platform on which whole architecture and interior designing is based on. And architecture and interior designing, up to best of my knowledge, is not something which has lately come in last 10 years. This has been a century-old thing. We have centuries which have been dedicated to a particular architecture. So I want to understand, when from an architect point of view, because I'm a mechanical engineer, I keep on reading things, I'm having a different perspective. But when I talk from a professional point of view, when I see this hashtag term creativity, what does it resounds to you? What do you mean by it? Or what do you feel about the creativity as a thing?
So I would say creativity is basically a representation of your personality. So if you take any career that involves creativity, so to speak, be it music, art, by art I mean like fine arts or visual arts, architecture, interior design, graphic design, anything to do with a creative expression is basically your personality coming out. So I think that it has to come from within, in the sense you need to develop your personality to the extent where you can be an expressive individual and thereby design something. And the reason I say this is, like you said, architecture and design has been with us for centuries at this point, and no design is going to be new. No idea is actually, by definition, no idea is unique today in 2021. Somebody else somewhere in the world has probably already thought of this idea or this design or this building facade or plan, right? So it's okay that that's the case, but how you express it as an individual from your own experiences and standpoint, that's what makes your design unique and creative, and not necessarily the objective design itself. I hope that makes sense. Like, I hope I'm clear in what
So
I'm
now
trying to
this
convey.
is a very amazing part of this conversation where we have come down to, when it comes down to creating something of your own, which is intellectual property, right? A lot of energy goes in. First of all, you need to have this
Yes.
concept, you need to have some inspiration, and you need to have energy first of all. And this all comes and derives from one point, that is passion. If you are passionate about it, then only you can do it. Otherwise, you won't do it. So I was just going through the project work which I got to learn about you. That was, there's this coffee chain rollout projects or innovation campus. Can you just help us learn that, not from an architectural student point of view, but as a professional, what are the things we should be keeping in mind to have inspiration in these sort of learnings? Like, for example, creative court residence. What was that unique thing which you thought of to bring an innovation in it? Why this project is different from every other project which we will find online or which will be available in the market? What is that one particular difference you are finding?
That's a great question. And this is kind of like a continuation of, what we were talking about previously about creativity. So it's different for multiple reasons. Number one, every residence project especially is different because it caters to that client alone. So you have tailor made this space to cater to him or her or this family, and so it's perfect for them and maybe not for anyone else. So by default, that makes it a unique project. Secondly, with residential design, I feel like it's a great opportunity to kind of bring in the old and the new. And the reason I say this is in India, especially, we're all very nostalgic. We're people who, we really value our roots. We value where we come from, and that's why we value family so much, because, we go back to our hometown and we kind of reminisce on good old days when we played, under the mango tree in the summer and so on. Like, these are just beautiful memories that cannot be recreated. But in architecture, we say, yes, we can recreate these. So families that have moved, from probably living in joint families in smaller towns, or closer to their grandparents, now they've come into the cities, and what they really miss is that sense of being in a house which has courtyards, a lot of open space, a lot of greenery, with a lot of light. And these are things by default which happen in our vernacular homes back in the village or back in our towns, right? So I think the idea here is to bring all of that and put it in a very, very contemporary context, because they still live in a city, a big city, where they want to have like a nice fancy home with the latest technology in automation and so on. So the idea here, and why it's unique, is we kind of bridge the two. We bring in that nostalgia from what they want, that they call their own homes from their childhood, and we're able to give their children now a similar experience, but in modern day. So I would say this is that perfect amalgamation of contemporary and vernacular. So that's why this residence is so special. And personally, it was my first like completed project of ground up architecture plus interior design. And this is that phase where I realized I love interiors. So yeah, personally, it holds a very special place in my career and even personally. So
I can just imagine the aura which you might be having, because this was your first baby project on which you worked whole and soul, and it was so fruitful that you can only understand what is the positivity around it. So that's really great. Now, but if I go down and I wish to understand from a holistic point of view, architecture and interior design. Architecture is a course which is a 5-year long, and interior design is a 3-year long project. These are two different things. Two different things. Architecture is all about architecture, we say something about architecture, it comes after engineering. When the engineering stops, architecture jumps in. And interior designing is very different thing. So can you just help us learn what are the three eminent difference between this architecture as a course, interior designing as a course, and what are the basic differences which you can observe in these two professions with your able experience?
Sure. So I think, I can start by saying that they are not actually two separate entities, but are more like two faces of the same coin, because one cannot exist without the other. They are definitely two very intertwined disciplines, and it's very rare that one can function without an efficient working of the other. And the reason I say this is, when you design a building, you think of the interior spaces by default. You're automatically thinking, where are my openings or my windows or doors going to be? Because how do I enter this space that's enclosed within? Or where does the light come from? Where does the ventilation happen from? And this we think about because we're thinking about the comfort of the person using the interiors of that space. So by default, as an architect, you are thinking of the interiors. But modern day interior design, so to speak, is a more aesthetic understanding. But I would say that they're very, very intertwined. But in terms of the course, I'll tell you what the difference will be, is that in architecture, you start from the very basics of like planning to structure to understanding, even the engineering aspects of like structural design, to masonry, to foundations, everything. And you will learn, from large scale to small, be it from the history of things, or you designing like an entire campus, or you doing like an urban design project, etc. So it's all very macro, large scale. You're understanding the A to Z of construction, design, and handover finishing of a project. And in interior design, you start directly with things like mood boards, because you're assuming that you already have this structure, you have the skeleton. So then now the skeleton is ready. When I enter the space, how do I treat this volume? How do I bring in some flavor, similar to how I said, about all those feelings of nostalgia and coming up with a concept for an architectural building? You will use the same principles and the same concepts and design language and so on, and understanding of geometry and space, but you will use it to design the interiors of the space. The reason the course is shorter is simply because in architecture, like I said, you're learning about, so many more technical aspects. But that said, if you are clear from the beginning that interior design is what you want to do, there's nothing wrong in going ahead and doing the interior design course. Alternately, I know a lot of my own peers who have studied architecture but have, without any additional degree, ventured into interior design and are very successful today. Because, like I said, that understanding of space is good enough as a designer for you to be able to do both.
Okay.
So it's really a matter of personal choice.
That's great. That's great. So even I had my couple of friends who were graduated as a mechanical engineer, and later 2 years down the line, I found them working for an architectural firm. Because I guess the softwares which we work on, AutoCAD or Primavera, are the same. They remain the same. The platform changes. That's all I accept. But with this, I come to another interesting question, which is, can you guide us with the flavors of architecture and interior designing over the course of years? And how the eminence of management is really important, be it from a business point of view, be it from an holistic point of view, be it from an academic point of view. Why project management or management is also important with the historical perspectives of this course.
Sure. Okay, sure. So I would say that, architecture is such a multifaceted discipline, because the moment you understand design and space and proportion and geometry, these basics of design, the fundamentals, the moment you understand that and become a designer, I feel like you're automatically equipped to do multiple things. So as an architect, you're not necessarily streamlining your career to do only architecture or only design buildings. Like I said, you can do interior design, you can do landscape design, you can do like services design. By services, I mean, this is all of the like the air conditioning, the plumbing, the electrical, all of these functions that come into a building. If that's what you're passionate about, you can do that. And within interior design, you can do so many things. Like if you're more passionate about art, then you can really, become an art curator, for example, for interior spaces. You can become a photographer for spaces, because it takes a keen eye to click a good picture of a building or the interiors. You need to know how to showcase a designer's dream in a 2D photograph. Like, how do you convey that emotion? And then something like architectural journalism, which is understanding different projects and history and architecture and all of this coming together, and then you write about it. So there's honestly so many different things you can do as an architect. So it's just absolutely beautiful. And that's why you need so many different skills to be an architect. So the first thing is, of course, you need to have that little bit of a creative bent of mind, because you need to think independently and differently. But that said, while being a leader and a decision maker, you also definitely need to be a team player, because it's very rare that you will alone do a project from start to finish. Even if you're the only designer on board, you're likely going to have, the guys at site who's doing your work, the contractors, your vendors, your consultants. There's going to be a bunch of people. And with all these people's effort coming together is when your building comes up, right? So you definitely need to be a team player. And when it comes to design, of course, creativity, thinking on your feet, and being able to express it. So this is where skills like hand sketching, or even all your software skills like you spoke, those come in. Because a lot of us have some really unique thoughts or some great thoughts in our mind, and we've already built up the whole structure in our mind. But if we cannot convey this on paper, then, you're not going to have a successful building. So you need to be able to put your thoughts down in whichever best medium. So be it you're an expert at a software or sketching, that you're able to convey your point very clearly to your team or to your site or whoever to whoever it may concern. Apart from that, when you talk about management, that is so important, and communication skills. So in college, this is important because you're going to have so many assignments. You need to be able to manage your time. You need to be able to, and of course, enjoy your experience in college, make friends, join clubs, be a part of all these activities. And being in a creative field, you should, definitely make a lot of friends in college and make sure you make the most of that experience. So yeah, definitely management of time and management of people. Because like I said, you're very likely going to be working in teams where you have to coordinate a bunch of things. So you'll be having 10, 15 parallel thoughts running, and you'll have, several people vying for your attention and answers at any given point. So you need to be able to manage this efficiently, make sure that you're answering everybody, and make sure that what you envisioned and that dream design comes into fruition, into reality through your communication and management. And if you're working with a team where you're all doing the work together, then to be able to manage the tasks of each individual on the team to kind of bring that result all together.
Okay. With this thing, I come down to a very amazing thought process and question. When we see the maps of international locations, when I talk about London as a place, I talk about New Jersey as a place, or California as a place, or Canada as a place, we get to have some image of buildings. We don't remember anything else. We just remember if we talk about Delhi NCR, the Red Fort will come into picture. We talk about Agra, Taj Mahal will come into picture. So why is it so that historically, when we see, and as well as in the current century, when we see, whenever there is a resonance behind an identity of your place, it is amalgamated with the permanent historical evidence which we have over there. So what's the correlation over there? And what
Yeah.
me as an individual, if I am pursuing an architectural course, what I can see and seek in the future? What are the opportunities there for me?
Okay, so great question. And I'll divide that into two parts. So the first part about the relevance of an architectural prominent style as an association with a given, geographical location. That's a great question because, architecture evolves with the times and with the culture and thought process of the people. So earlier also you spoke about understanding cultures and how architecture opens you up to that. That's so important because firstly, architecture responds to the culture of the time, which means if the culture is that people come together and bathe in a common area, like back in earlier civilizations, it means there's going to be a great bath or a central space. If people if they're a very rich civilization, they're likely to have these open air markets to sell their precious metals and precious stones and jewelry. So this is a direct and very obvious correlation between the lifestyle or culture of a people and how that reflects in their architecture, which is why that has become a clear indication and like a timestamp of history, where when you document any civilization or any duration of time, architecture is a huge part of that because it's so important to understand that. And in present day, when you talk about us applying this and future prospects in career, this directly translates to what I had said earlier, which is understanding a client and customizing a project for them. So when you study that, you say, okay, this was their culture, hence this was done. So similarly, a client comes to you and say, I'm very religious, I perform puja every day. You make sure you put a puja room in their house. Or somebody comes and says, I love to socialize, I like having friends over. You make sure you give them a nice open space where they can, maybe have like a barbecue party. If someone says, I love reading, you're going to give them a reading corner or a library in their home. So this is that same correlation that we make of lifestyle, culture, and personal choices to how that reflects in their spaces. And I think the pandemic is a superb example of that. So everybody will be able to understand this practically, that suddenly we went from working in an office or, studying in a school or a college to doing all of this in one spot at home. And when we live with larger families, you realize there's not enough space for everyone to sit and focus in one spot, which makes it so important for a designer to make a multifunctional space to say, in one room, you can also study here, you can sleep here, you can watch TV here, you can, store your things here. So that is the importance of design. And this is a great example to talk about that. And when it comes to future of the career, so I'll be honest that the pandemic has hit a lot of our, professions the world over. This is by default, and this is bound to architecture. We need to understand that it's a very dynamic profession, which means it's going to change. So every 5 to 6 years, you'll see a change in the way people think, a change in building and construction technologies, a change in materials and attitudes. Like, for example, sustainability is so big now, which wasn't the case 10 years ago. So as architects, we need to be on our feet and ready to adapt. But that said, India, where it is today, is literally at a position where it's heading in the direction of huge growth, which means the construction industry is due to boom. And secondly, wherever the economy grows and there's more money, people are going to invest that money in their own lifestyle, which means that they'll invest money in designing their spaces. And more today, people are very, very well aware of the importance of having a designer design your space, which was absent, I would say, in the previous generations. So all of this said, I think there's a very bright future in a design career. And now is the time to kind of leverage that, make sure we up our skill sets, make sure we have the right conversations at the right time, and, pick the career that's best suited for us. And even if it's within this design domain, like I said, you can take up so many different design careers that once you're headed in that direction, you can really, the world is your oyster. You can sit in one place and literally do so many different things. And the pandemic has proven that to us.
This was the most beautiful answer of this conversation. I'm really glad to understand this basic detail nuances of it. So with this thing, I will be just coming to the closure of the session. Help me with one thing. Like, I'm a student of class, suppose 10th, and I aspire to be an architect one fine day. So how about I should be starting my journey? What should be an ideal way? Well, I'm not talking about a job. I'm not because neither right at this point of time I require a job, neither I am having one. I'm free in my capability. But what I can do right now with best of my time to make sure that after 12th, when I'm getting out into the journey between 12th standard to college, I'm refining myself up to that limit that when I come out of college, my art or my artwork is a signature or an autograph in the industry. Because majority of time what happens is I aspired that I will be getting a huge paycheck once I'm out of college, and mechanical engineering is going to be great fun, and I aspired all these things. But I got the reality check in the third year itself, in the pre-placement time. And that was really very disheartening. So what I should be doing at this point of time to make sure that these things don't happen to all the attendees and the students which are over here in the coming future? What they should be starting on? Like, suppose I'm in class 10, what skills I should be doing, what I should be doing in my part 9, what lecture series I should be doing, or what courses I should be doing. So can you just give us a basic experience about how to give this a push start? That's all.
Sure. So I think now, we have so much on the internet, social media, and platforms like this that we are on today at our disposal, which is great as a first step. So the moment you are in a conversation like this, you've already made that first step towards analyzing and understanding if this career is for you. So like props to everybody who's here, because that means they have some decisive thinking in this direction, which is great news. Okay, so that already means your commitment is growing and you will then pick up on that. So I would say leverage all of your connections, networks, reach out to people on platforms like LinkedIn and so on, where you can talk to somebody about the profession, or even such platforms. This is, you can even have a one-on-one interaction because we're open to questions. It's a very free platform for conversations, and also to get like a first-hand experience on what it's like to be in the career. So I think all of this is a good sort of preparation. In terms of skills, I would say it's nice to keep sketching. So even if you're traveling, like say you're sitting in a train or whatever, so you see things pass by or you're stopped somewhere, just try and sketch, because the moment you get a good hand, right, you will start understanding proportion. Because when you look at your sketch and the reality, you'll realize, okay, something's off, and you'll start fixing it, which means now you're slowly tuning yourself to observe these things, and that will really go a long way in the profession as well. And when it comes to understanding the realities of the situation, so I will say to each his own, and it's what you make of it. Because earlier it was like either you work in a firm or you start your own practice. Those were the only two options. But just 5 minutes ago, I mentioned how now you can branch out and do so many different things. And if you are the kind who's proactive, you can do many things at once. You can, take up freelance projects. You can still be working in a firm to learn more and understand better. You can work in a small firm if that's what you like to do, where you'll kind of get thrown under the bus to take the whole responsibility alone and go out there and do your own thing, which is great for your learning, and also your growth will be much quicker. Or alternately, right now what I'm doing is I'm in a very large company doing, very large scale projects, and I'm also kind of working with other offices around the globe, which gives me a bigger exposure. And this is me because it's far more organized, much larger exposure to things. And on the side, I do take up freelance projects on my own. I do a little bit of like teaching or taking lectures for students, that sort of thing. So it's really about how you leverage it. And like I said, if you're a designer, you could very easily become, a graphic designer, a web designer, a product designer. You could do so many things if you have the skill set and the motivation to do it. So yes, definitely be aware of what the pay scales are, align your expectations, and know that as you add to your skill set, it's likely that an employer is likely to offer you a better pay. So make sure you keep all this in mind. And during college, every opportunity you get, make sure you take up internships, build your portfolio, build your CV, and, focus on getting all of that together to have something impressive that will stand out. And most importantly, be confident, because in this career, it's all about convincing the client. You could have a great design, but if the client doesn't like it, there is no point. So if you work on how confidently you speak and convey your point, I think that will really go a long way. And that's something you can do in your day-to-day life, in your daily conversations, with people around you. Make sure you know how to convey your point effectively. And I think that will be very helpful in the long run as well.
That's great. That's very beautiful answer. But along the side, can you just help me? Like, now I'm a person, we are living in the post-modernized world, this 21st century, right? Everything has been modernized right now. And when I'm graduating right now, I see myself as a global citizen. Rather than being in a national crowd, now the gates are being opened up to international markets. So we'll be competing on an international level. So I am very sure that you have been investing a lot of time working on your creative skills and feeding your own creativity and also the knowledge at the same time. So can you just let me know, like people are having this virtual knowledge right now that you can have a random CV, you can have a random certificate, and you can just go and sit in an interview. So can you just shed some light on how important it is to be creative at the same point of time, invest in your own self, and how soon we should start investing in our own self? Which includes the technical skills which will be needed at a later point of time in our career. So please, can you just shed some light on this?
Sure. So I would say in college, that you as a course, they do touch upon briefly on all of these different aspects. So from like technical drawings to all of these skills that you're talking about, be it services, construction, softwares, technical skills, and so on. So I think they will just kind of touch upon it, and then the rest is up to you. And that's what a professional degree is, right? They kind of introduce you to it, and then it is the individual's prerogative to take it from there. And I think that would be the same. If you are proactive, if you really get in there, if you are passionate, and you know how to build your career successfully, then you will invest your time in doing these things. And I think the only way to do it is like first-hand experience. That is hands down the only way, because there's no other way. You can read, you can watch videos, you can, like you said, these certifications and courses, sure. But when you do it hands-on, that's when you will really gain. So even like now, for the prospective architects who are here joining us today, if you actually work on a project together with us, I feel like that is what will kind of push you in that direction to say, I can do this, or maybe it's not for you. So then you'll realize that and use your skill set elsewhere, right? And I think that's what it is, to understand the right time and the right place to like push yourself to take those decisions. So it's really in our hands, but we need to take those decisions and just really get in there.
Okay, that's pretty much a conclusive answer. And just one of the last questions which are related to the career field. I'm a person who has invested whole and soul like 5 years, 6 years down the line in learning only the architectural skills, only the softwares and the hardcore technical skills. But at the same point of time, just with the technical skill set and the technical equipment, I'm not going to go anywhere. Because when you are in the international market, or you are in a business, or you are in a global market, you have to showcase that why you are such a valuable commodity or a product, and why someone or a client should come out to you and be connected with you to understand more about the profession, or why they should be giving you this project to work on. So can you just shed some brief ideas or the skill set which are required apart from the technical acumen? What are the soft skills we should be focusing on apart from the technical acumen?
Yeah, so I think I briefly outlined this in my previous answer as well, where I spoke about communication skills being, one of the top requirements in this profession, because whether it's talking, I think I shed light on talking to a client, but what's also important is talking to your team successfully, talking to your seniors in an office successfully. How do you communicate your ideas? How do you communicate, you want to bring about a change, something unique. We're all, as architects, we're kind of shaping up the world. So we are game changers in a way. So how is it that you kind of convey or propagate your ideas? So communicating is super, super, super important. So I would say that's one of the, top skills there. And the other one, like I said, is being a leader and a team player at the same time. So you kind of need to be able to switch roles, where one day you're leading and you're telling an intern what to do, but the next day you're also in a team where, you're probably your superior or a person much senior to you is kind of telling you how to do things, and you're always learning along the way. And like I said, because the profession keeps changing, and like you said, we're working in unison with the globe now. We're working in projects across the world, and contexts are very different. So best practices in India will be very different from something that's done in another country. So if you're taking up a project there, like if you're collaborating with some designers there, the first thing to do is to understand the attitude of the people there. So if you're designing a coffee shop, for example, it's going to be very different in India versus, somewhere else in Asia or in the US, because coffee culture is so different everywhere. So I think just that basic understanding will give you that one up, because if you're open to understanding people and cultures and maintaining those relationships through your communication skills, so that's one aspect, and that will kind of further you overall in the career. And the other one, which is related to the project itself, is that whole management of time and your team and your leadership skills and being, an effective team player.
Okay, that's wonderful. So now, as we are a generation of 90s, I guess, right? We have a very tough time back then just to figure out the things about what is there in the store for us. Now, as a student who is just coming out of school in 21st century right now, they are having whole internet in front of them. They are having the whole world in front of them. So what is your added advantage? Suppose if this opportunity, what we are offering right now to the students, that they can come out, they can do a small internship under a professional who is coming from an industry, having an hands-on experience, how this thing can help them leverage the salary proposition in the longer duration of the time. So what is the added advantage if some students get this experience in 10th standard as well as compared to a student who gets this experience in third year of architecture? So what's the difference in intern? Because we are going to do intern in both the case scenarios, but what's the difference right now?
Yeah, so I would say, the first case, which is doing it now, doing it early, being exposed to this now and being proactive, is going to make you so well informed getting into the course. Because if you have an option like this, then going in, you already know what you're signing up for. You're very clear that this is what I want, and hence I'm taking it on. Versus the other case where you mentioned someone who, in third or fourth year, they're like, okay, now I have to do an internship and hence I'm doing it, is going to cause a very bitter reality check, like you said, because you'll be pushed into the profession. And it's a big, bad, mean world out there, if I could say so, because, the moment you go into a professional environment, they expect a lot out of you. You're going to be expected to do everything. And right out of college, you may not be equipped to do that. But if you are, smart in taking these decisions early on, I feel like you'll get that hands-on experience now, and you won't be so underprepared when you go out there, into a real internship in a so-called job scenario. So I would say that doing this now, because we have these tools, like you said, back in the day, we did not have this stuff. We were not, the internet was not such a big place where all this information was available to us. We literally had to rely on word of mouth, talking to people we know. But now the internet literally connects us to people across the world. And even though we're all meeting here for the first time, we're able to have these very meaningful conversations that are going to lead to something very productive, right? So I would really encourage that if somebody is passionate about this profession, then it's important that you take matters into your own hands and do this now. Get involved and do it hands-on. Yeah.
That's really a great insight as a mentor, what I got to listen from you. That it was really hard back then to find even a mentor from a particular industry, because we never knew anyone who is doing what and how they are doing. So it is really a great opportunity which I got to learn from you. So that's all the questions which I had to learn from you. Now I would open this floor to all the students who are there in the chat and this program with us today. So if they are having questions and they want to ask any particular questions, please drop your questions in the chat box. We would be looking forward to answer your questions over here.
Yeah, happy to answer any questions. And I really hope this has been helpful, because, then it's one step further in taking this big decision, this daunting decision of what career I want to take up. So yeah, important to take informed decisions, which is why you're here. So make sure you think it through. And if you have any questions, please do ask, because this is the platform to do that. This is exactly the place to do that. So yeah, please feel free, no matter what the question is, feel free to ask. I'm happy to pick it up and answer.
So that's a great thing, Nandita. We started getting questions over here. So the first question is, what do you think, Ms. Ma'am, that studying architecture abroad is a better decision, or studying over here in India is a better decision?
So I think the answer to this is wherever you want to practice, that's where you want to study for multiple reasons. One is, like I said, the context becomes so important that if you study abroad and then came back to India, a lot of the stuff that you would have learned might seem irrelevant because of different construction practices, different material, the way of using materials, different ways of doing things, right? The approach itself, and even the mindset of the people and what they're okay with. So I would say make sure you practice in the country where you intend to. I mean, make sure you study in the country where you intend to practice and kind of continue your career for the long haul. And the second thing is also permits and licensing. So whichever country you study architecture, that's where you will be a licensed architect to practice. So if you study in India and then you move abroad, there are exams that you need to take to become a certified architect. The usage of the term, you can still work, but you will not be termed as an architect. So make sure that you're taking this decision basis where you intend to settle in the long haul. Okay, so that's the answer in a gist. Should I just go ahead and read, Rajat, or would you like to?
I will do it for you. Let's make it a bit fun because I'm a person who is inspired from Gangs of Wasseypur. So let's make it in a filmy way.
Okay.
So is NATA difficult as it is difficult for JEE Mains or Advanced? So is NATA difficult, ma'am?
It's not difficult, honestly, but you have to prepare. So don't take it lightly. Just like you have study material for all your other exams, there is material available for NATA, and even the so-called syllabus and pattern keeps changing, every once in a while. So my recommendation would be is to get the right resources. There are a lot of courses and classes, etc. online, and there are a bunch of free resources also, which will give you things like sample papers. It will tell you what to focus on, how to practice. Like there's a sketching aspect to the exam. So that's why I was saying, make sure you practice your sketching. And then there's a multiple choice aspect. Excuse me, sorry. There's a multiple choice aspect to the exam, which is more theoretical. So reading up a little bit about architecture will really certainly be helpful. I'm so sorry. Could you give me a minute? I'm going to have a sip of water.
So I will take the next question. What to do after 10th to become an architect? So you will be required to take TCM, and you'll be required to give an exam as stated by ma'am, which was NATA in your class 12, and clear that exam and then apply for the universities, collecting your portfolio. So we'll be talking about it right now, and also acquiring all the scorecard which are required. So ma'am, there was a question over here which was requested by a student, what to do after 10th standard to become an architect. With this thing, I got to reminded of a thing, I skipped it in the session, which was about portfolio. So this portfolio term is a very used thing in architecture and interior designing. So can you just shed some light, what is this portfolio, is the valuation of the portfolio even after 12th, even after completing architecture and in the longer period of time?
Okay, so an architectural portfolio, a professional portfolio, is basically a document which holds all of your work, all of your design work. So essentially, at the end of your architecture course, you're going to put together a portfolio of all your different projects, outlining how you think, what your conceptualizing process was, and how you landed from that initial sketch to the final product. So what people who are hiring, what they want to see is how you think and how you function and how you're going to develop a design while you work for them or with them. Or even if you're taking up your own work, then you're definite to have a process that's defined by your own personal style of working. So that's a portfolio. But when you talk about a portfolio prior to joining college, obviously at that time you don't have any work to showcase. But this portfolio can be all of your artistic work. So be it sketching, painting, anything of a creative nature, or say you've done something like logo design or website design in your free time, say in your summer holidays or something. All of this will count because it really speaks for how you are as a creative individual and how you think. So any showcase of creative work can go into this portfolio. The important thing is to have a good composition and like an overall style or theme that will bind it all together. So it should essentially be almost like a booklet for someone to go through, which is like an interesting compilation of you as an individual and what represents you best. I think all of that, and even photography for that matter, you can put all of that stuff in there. And after 10th grade, math and English are compulsory. To my knowledge, you don't necessarily need the other science subjects, but make sure you go through what the guidelines are now, because again, these are things which sometimes change over time, number one, and secondly, sometimes from state to state, these admission rules might differ. So based on where you live, where you're applying, make sure you go through these things. Secondly, some colleges have their own private exams apart from NATA that you might need to take. So refer to that based on where you want to apply. Also, some states have the state quota of their own, the CET exams. So you will need to submit your report cards and NATA scorecard to them, and they will then assign you a rank basis which you will be able to get into various colleges. So make sure you do your thorough research on the application processes for all the colleges you're interested to apply. So you might need to take certain other exams. You might need to submit your marks card in certain places. So just make sure you're very thorough in understanding all of these things.
That's all. So that was all the conclusive information which I required as a student if I was applying to an architectural career down the line. So first of all, thank you so much for bringing out the time and sharing all the experiences which you had in your life pertaining to learning about architecture and interior design. So I'll be taking forward the session and looking forward to answering the rest of the questions of the students. And as well as we'll be looking forward to have a program with you soon where these students can have an opportunity to learn from you.
Yeah, that sounds great. I really look forward to seeing, a large part of this batch today at our session, because I think that way we'll get to interact much more. We'll get to do a project together, and it's going to be really cool. I think you'll all really enjoy it. Anyone who has a creative bent of mind, this is for you. And I think you'll get a sense for, what the field really holds today, because architecture as a whole, because there's so much going on and there's so much to know and learn. I think a consolidated version of this will be super helpful. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing all of you there and having more one-on-one interactions with all of you. I'm really excited to, get to know everyone a little bit better. So yeah, I'm hoping to meet you all soon.
So I'm really glad as a person that after a really long time, I had a discussion of intellect with someone and I was able to put down my thoughts and learn more about architecture as a program. So thank you for all of that. And I'll be looking forward to have much more conversations with you in the coming future. So
yeah, me too. I had a great time. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for being patient and listening to everything. So I hope to, interact with you all again very soon. Have a good Sunday night and take care, please. Everyone stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. You can please take your leave. And sure. Right now I will take ahead the session and just complete the rest of the formalities. And just now you can enjoy your weekends. I'm so sorry that bringing you up and extending this long time, because intellectual discussions are like this. This takes a while to discuss and come down to a vision and think about the thing. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, no problem at all. I completely understand, no issues. And I was happy to, give extended responses to each of the questions. So yeah, thanks again. Bye.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please have a great day. Bye-bye. So students, now coming back to the topic, I will just take 2 minutes of every one of you just to let you know what all opportunities we are having over here for you, so that which you can look forward to. So this is the last leg of the program where you get to know and how you can benefit from what you had right now. Okay. So we are coming up with this architecture and interior designing internship for all the amazing participants today who were there over here for the program with us. So what you will be getting and how you will be getting, it's all over here. Like you will have an experience of working with such an intellectual bent of mind people over here. You will be directly interning under industry professional whom you just met, Nandita Natesh. You will be collaborating with students from international schools from Sri Lanka, Doha, Qatar, Oman, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. You will be working with such people, those who are coming internationally as well as from national schools. You will also be learning about the project management tools, where you get to learn about how someone is working in a project, how efficient the project is running, what is the timeline, and what are the finances associated with it. And only after completing the project which has to be worked in this internship, you can come back again and you can earn this certificate, which will be really impactful for you to boost your college admission profiles if you're looking for admissions nationally as well as internationally. We are closing the registrations for this internship by 12 a.m. tonight. And I'll be sharing the link for this registration. If any of the students over here are really looking forward to have an experience like this, which I just had a word with ma'am, and I was just discussing about the same with the ma'am, you can go ahead on the link, which I'll be sharing in the chat box right now with every one of you. Just a sec. By the way, anyone is having any particular questions which you would like to question over here? So this is the link which is in the chat. You can go visit this link to have a better understanding of what course we were talking about. If you can just go on the website and you can see over here. Let me share the screen again. I guess everyone is able to see this page over here. So this is the registration link over here, which we are having. You can go over here and choose architect, interior designing, fill in the details and fill up the details of student email ID, parent email ID, and do the registrations by tonight, 12 a.m. because majority of our seats are already full. We have a policy of just 25 students per internship, and we are up with 16 registrations. So there are a very limited number of seats which are available. So if you were really passionate and you got some even 20% of the insights learning from this great discussion which we had, and if you're looking forward to have much more discussions like this with me or like professionals like Nandita, Natish, and many more who are going to come, you can go ahead and enroll yourself for internships like this. You can also look for the bunch of amazing opportunities which we have over here for you in the month of June, which if you are looking forward to, you can go ahead and try. But at the same point of time, there were a majority of students, those who had doubts regarding what admission, how the international admissions takes place, and what all they are having right now, what all options they are having in front of them. So for that, we are having a career experience program for all the students. You can go ahead and visit this website, which I'm sharing with you in the chat box right now. This will help you out to understand what all career experiences we offer. There are a bunch of like experiences which are being pre-planned for you in the month of June, July, and August and October, which are already scheduled. You can go over here on this website. If you are clicking it, you can have an overview of all the things which are being listed out over here. You will have 6 career options to try from. There are a bunch of options which you can go and seek out your own self. So this is a basic research which I expect from you, the budding architects, to go ahead and learn from them. So that if you are really interested in trying out any bunch of the careers, learn more about it, and be the professional and earn the salary you want few years down the line, you better start working on it from today onwards. So now I will be opening the stage to everyone over here who is present in the chat. They can unmute themselves, they can come back and let me know about what are their questions. And now we can have one-to-one discussions. Be any questions, please feel to ask me. Be it anything. Please unmute yourself and come out to me and ask me the questions. Anyone? Joshua, Arlene, Kushi, Pari, Nehal, Tanishka, Preksha, Ramsha, Ashita, Disha, Meher, Kamda, any questions, anything? Do you have any questions which you would like to ask me? I'm awaiting. Yes, Kamda?
Good morning. Would you suggest a...
It's good evening, first of all, beta. Yes, tell me, how can I help you?
You would suggest a grade 11, would you suggest a grade 11 student to do it? Or should I wait for like another year and do it in grade 12?
Okay. So if I was, I won't answer as I'm a person who is a mechanical engineer. I will answer this as if I'm myself a student. I'm Kamda myself. Okay. So if I were you, I would learn everything which is possible in front of me. I would definitely grab this opportunity and make sure that I'm having a bunch of amazing portfolio, because as soon as I'm learning the things, I will have a portfolio of mine. So soon after class 12, because I won't be in a pressure in class 12 when I'm preparing for SAT or entrance examination or be it any other thing, at least my portfolio will be set in my class 11. So there will be less thing which I will be stressed about in my class 12. So if the students are really looking forward to have a easy life in class 12, I will always recommend this thing, that do go ahead, take an initiative and finish the things off as soon as you can. And be creative, because as soon as you are starting right now, you are energetic biologically. I'm not talking in air, I'm talking biologically, that you are having amazing energy inside you, are having majority of thoughts. you can be creative right now, because as you go old, the concepts or the thought process tends to slow down. You can take this opportunity and learn as much as you can for your own self. So that's the answer.
Thank you.
So was this Kamda, आपका आंसर क्लियर हो गया था? डाउट क्लियर हो गया?
Yes.
Great. Yes, Preksha.
Already, so like I was asking like if I want to just pursue like basically interior designing, not architecture actually. So like, is taking maths compulsory? Or, like like I'm not much interested in studying maths. Like I'm not very good at.
No.
So like,
If you wish to go ahead for interior designing, because interior designing is far more of an artistic approach, for which you will have to, like, I am myself a person who is, you can just see the room over here, I'm far more of a person who loves to beautify the things. So when it's about beautifying the things, you have to be creative rather than mathematical in nature. Architecture as a profession itself requires scaling or measuring the things or charting out the things or designing the layouts, which require mathematical component of it. And hence, math is compulsory when you are going to pursue architecture as a course. But when you're talking about interior designing as a career option, you don't need math compulsory.
thank you.
So I guess your doubt was clear, picture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nehal, Tanishka, Pari, Kushi, Harleen, anyone else? Joshua? Anyone is having any doubts, any questions? That's all. So I will be soon ending the session. So that's all for today. I hope you had an amazing time. You had an amazing time learning the things. And also I was able to deliver some inquisitive knowledge to you. So that's all from my side. I will be looking forward to hear from you and understand more from you. Please have a great evening ahead and enjoy your Sunday. That's all.
जी
Namaste, sir.